Hey guys, Austin here with Hope to Cope, checking in today to remind you that you are a miracle and you have a purpose. So I had an interesting experience today. I was headed out to work this morning and I had 5 bars on the gas gauge going to work. And so I'm like, great. I've got plenty of time to get to work and to get back today. And so I got to work. After work, I'm headed home. I still have 3 bars in the gas tank on the gas gauge. And so I'm like, no problem. I'll be able to get back over to this area closer to home and then I'll get gas. It's about a little over an hour commute that I have. And in the middle of that, about 40 minutes of that commute, there's no service and it's in the middle of nowhere, just driving across this area. And while I was going, I was sucking on a blue sucker, which is why my tongue and my lips are blue. But as I started going across the flat expanse where there was no service, it dropped to 2 and the gas light turned on. And I thought, I'm only like 4 minutes away from the gas station back here. I could turn around, but no, I thought I have enough to get across. And so I kept going. And then it dropped to 1 bar. And I was only halfway across this 40-minute expanse. And then it dropped to 0 bars on the gas gauge. And I had just barely hit, halfway mark. And so I had, another 20 minutes of driving to get across before I could even go down to where the gas station was, which was another few minutes. And so for a second, I panicked it for a minute. And this is something that I was always so worried about. As a perfectionist, always having to do things right, not making any mistakes. I was a person who would never let my gas tank get below half. And I was always terrified of getting into a place where I might run out of gas and then have to walk or hitchhike to get gas to take into my car, because that would be so humiliating, I thought. And that would be so embarrassing. I would never want to do that. And so here I am today on my way across, and all of a sudden, this potentially could be a reality that I experience. Luckily, I had my running shoes in the back of the car, so I could have taken off these business shoes that I have, put on running shoes. And at first, I was thinking, okay, well, if I run out of gas over here, that's a long ways. It might take me a few hours to get across to where I can get service and get some help and some gas to get back to the car. But I was like, I'll be okay. And I felt this peace over me. It's a peace that I've never experienced before in this. It was always dread and so afraid of what might happen. But instead, I was feeling peace through it. And so I made it all the way halfway. And I'm like, okay, well, if I run out here, then, there's other cars I could ask for help. But I kept going and kept going. And mind you, it's empty right now. There's no bars on the gas gauge. And I kept going across, but I felt peace, knowing that if I ran out of gas, I'd be fine. I could walk and get help, and there would be no problem. I could hitchhike, I could ask others for help, and that's completely fine. And so I felt an overwhelming peace. And so for me, going through that experience was a breakthrough experience. Now, it's not saying that I want to go out and just risk running out of gas anytime and just see how far I can push it. That's not the goal. But I was in a situation where I honestly thought I had plenty of gas, and apparently I did. But I was going where there were no bars on the gas gauge for more than half of the way back to the gas station. And the last little bit was a downward hill. So I thought, well, if I run out here, I could almost just coast in. But the experience for me going through that was a cool experience for me to recognize that it was okay. And so in your life, what are some things that you're working up to in your mind and you're struggling with because you're afraid of these outcomes? Are those outcomes really so bad? Is it really so bad if you run out of gas and you need to ask for help? Is that the end of the world? No. And so are there other areas in your life right now where in your mind and in your body you're feeling like it's the end of the world? Like, this can't happen because you just can't make it through if that happens. Maybe it's you have a blue tongue and you're like, I've got to do a video right now. This is so embarrassing. What are people going to think of me? Whatever it is that you are going through, what are some of those thoughts and feelings that you're having that you just feel like it's the end of the world and you can't do it? I want you to think about that for a second. Is that actually true? Is it the end of the world? Or is that just an experience that you might have? And notice those thoughts. It's about something that could happen in the future. It's not something that's happening. So me going across, there was this idea and this feeling, oh no, I might run out of gas. And then there was this image of me being stuck on the side of the road and then having to walk a great distance and get help. That actually didn't happen. I actually got to the gas station and was able to put gas in my car. And so what is it that you were experiencing that's holding you back, that's keeping you stuck? But first off, you could survive if that thing happened. And secondly, the chances of it happening are very small. Notice something in your life right now and just allow yourself to sit with it. Allow yourself to let go of those fear thoughts, those dread thoughts, those end of the world thoughts. If you need to, write them down on a piece of paper, rip them up, throw them away, and just remind yourself that you're okay. That you're okay. It's okay for you to have experiences in this life. It's okay for you to have experiences where you don't make it, where you mess up, where there's you fall down. It's okay to have a blue tongue. It's okay to run out of gas. It's okay for these things to happen. It's not that you're trying to have that happen, but if it does, you can survive. You can make it through. You're okay. You're okay. So remember that you are a miracle. You have a purpose. This life is beautiful. This life is worth living. In the yin and the yang of life, the dark and the light, both aspects of that is what makes this life worth living. It's what makes it meaningful. Because if we only lived in a light life, what would we learn? What would be the point of living a life of just light? Same thing with the darkness. If we lived just in the darkness, what would be the point of that? There'd be no point. But it's the light and the dark coming together that give this life meaning, that give it its experience. Our experience comes from experiencing and balancing both, living in harmony, recognizing the dark side of ourselves and the light side of ourselves, and finding the balance. They balance each other out and they help us to live life to the fullest. And sometimes we're unbalanced. Sometimes we'll lean into the dark. Sometimes we'll lean into the light a little bit more. And that's okay. It's finding the balance. That's part of this life, but experiencing both. So remember, you are a miracle. You have a purpose. No matter what you're going through, no matter what you've been through, and no matter what you will be going through, you matter every step of the way. Your life is worth living. Thank you for being here with me today. And remember, I'm here at Hope to Cope every day to give you a message of hope and to remind you that you're a miracle, that you have a purpose. So thank you for being here with me today, with my blue tongue and with this experience that I had. I see you. I'm grateful for you. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.